Hello everyone, welcome to Quarrelsome Rhinoceros Stitches episode 13. My name is Monica, I'm the host. I live here in Bangor, Maine, which is a city in sort of the middle of Maine, right on the Penobscot River, with my best friend, her fiance, and my dog, Kelsier, who is hanging out in my room right now. Hopefully he'll make it through the podcast in my room and we'll be fine. He sort of messed up my last recording. I actually have recorded this podcast already today, so bear with me if I forget things because I've already done it once and I can't remember if I've, yeah. Anyway, so this podcast is about knitting and crocheting and other crafty goodness that I will get to show you today. I hinted at it a little bit last episode, but if you're new, thank you so much for checking me out. I know there's like a million knitting podcasts out there, but I really do and appreciate that you spend a little bit of your time with me chatting about the things that I'm making. And if you're coming back, thank you so much for checking out the podcast again. I have one finished object and several works in progress to show you. In the first time I recorded this episode, I had showed you a couple of extra little works in progress that I just started. So I'm gonna skip over those just because I really did just start them. And I actually, as soon as I stopped recording, I went and found better ways to, I went and figured out I'm going to rip what I've started out because I wasn't thoroughly happy with the design yet. So as soon as I stopped recording, I decided that I wouldn't show it again, or as soon as I figured out the files were corrupted. Anyway, yeah, my camera got interrupted while it was trying to record me doing my podcast, so it didn't actually save the file properly onto the memory card, and it was corrupted, and I couldn't save anything from it. So unfortunately, that's technology, right? So I guess I'll just get right into it. So we'll start off with my finished object. If you follow me on, I do this every time. You can find me on social media. You can find me on Ravelry as Morux, it's Morux, or you can find me on Instagram as Quarrelsome Rhino. I also do have a Twitter, which I will link in the description box, and I'll also put it in the show notes as I do every time. So there is also a Ravelry group for the podcast. That's where I put all of the show notes. I will put a link to it in the description box. So if you follow me on Instagram, my only finished object for this week are my Wingardium Leviosa socks. So this is a pattern by Suzanne of Green Lambkin Yarns, or just of Green Lambkin, I think is how she's doing her pattern designing side of it. So there's like these sort of lace sections. So there's lace on the front and back of the leg. There's a longer sort of heel flap and gusset, more decreased stitches for a sort of higher instep, which I definitely have. And so the last time I showed them to you, they were both, I did these socks 2 at a time on a US 2, so a 2.75 millimeter needle. And yeah, so last time I showed them to you, I had finished the cuff, the leg, the heel turn, and I had finished the gusset decreases. And so that was 2 weeks ago, and I did all of that in about 24 hours of knitting, and then like I cast them on and the next day I was there. And then it took me a week and a half to do this much of the toe, which is very silly. But I have been working on a whole lot of other things. I really like this pattern. I love the lace repeat is really easy to memorize. Yeah, you're really only doing something special on like every 4 rows or something like that. And then it's the same sort of thing for the rest of the pattern. I won't go too much into it because it's a paid for pattern. So yeah, there's also like a wedge toe, which I don't normally do. I normally do a rounded toe, but this seemed to fit perfectly fine. Yeah, I really enjoy them. And I think that they will probably grow a little bit when I block them. Right now they're sort of slouching, but my sock blockers are actually a little bit too small for my feet, for my socks that I knit, because they're made for a US 6 to 8 or something like that shoe size, or sock size, I guess, shoe size, and my foot is a size 9, so so it is a little bit too small for me. Yeah, like the heel, if I really put this to where I would actually block it, the heel is nowhere near where the heel actually goes. So, so hopefully I'll be able to order some new sock blockers here in a little bit and be able to block these socks. But they fit really well. So I did those both. Those were my first 2 at a time pair of socks, and I absolutely love it. Those are my 6th pair, I think, for my box of socks. And yeah. That is my only finished object. So I will get right into works in progress. I'll show you a couple of things that you've seen before that I'm working on, that you saw last time. So last time I did make an error when I was talking about the Stephen West shawl that I'm making. I said that it was the Excuse Me, but it's actually the Meandering Shawl, and I knew that, and I thought that I was saying Meandering Shawl, but it's definitely the Meandering Shawl, not the Excuse Me, which is what I was actually saying. So I've made a fair amount of progress on this since the last time you saw it. So I had just started it last time you saw it. So it was right here where the stitch marker is. And so I've done all of this, this whole thing. I've done like a repeat and a half of the pattern. I guess I've done about a full repeat of the pattern since you saw it last. But yeah, so I still have several more sections of this to go. It's gonna take me a long time because it is brioche, and it does take a really long time to do the rows. Like everybody says, yeah, brioche takes forever to do the rows, but man, it does take a really long time. I am really enjoying it though. It is really fun to knit. I have made a couple of mistakes, but I've been able to like sort of pick my way through it. Like and I don't think I'll notice them at the end. I think I've fixed most of them the way that should be. So here is, so this yarn is Wonderland Yarns in the Amethyst colorway. It was an exclusive to the kit by Frenchie of Aroha Knits, the Fiber Muse Alchemy kit. So that was an exclusive, the purple. And then the white is a Knit Picks Stroll fingering in just white. And I thought they went really, really well together. So here's the dark side, or the main color, and then this is the light side, which is the contrasting color. I really love this side. This side of the shawl is my favorite. And like, I like this side too, but I just love being able to see more purple and just a little bit of that white showing through from the other side. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to finishing this up. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it up before July, which I think is when I think the Corner of Craft and so Hannah and Becky, who are neighbors, they live in Germany, and they're both podcasters, and they're doing a knit along, a Stephen West knit along, and so that was sort of what kicked my butt in gear to start this, but I really don't know if I'm going to finish it by July 1st. I've got a busy couple of weeks coming up, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to actually finish the shawl and put it in the finished objects thing for that. But I mean, obviously I'm still really excited to be knitting it. It at least got me in gear to knit brioche, so I think that's something anyway. I'm really glad that I did because I really enjoy it. And I'm holding that in my, I'm knitting that on a size, whew, man, bad podcaster. I'm using a size 3.75 millimeter needle for that. And it's on my ChowGoo interchangeables. The pattern calls for a 3.5 millimeter, but I already had the US 5, which was the 3.75 millimeter. I already had that on my cables and ready to go, so I just used that because it's only a little bit of a small portion of a millimeter. Quarter of a millimeter more. Bigger. Anyway, oh my gosh. I don't know what English is anymore, guys. Okay. Next, I will show you my Koru cardigan, which I've shown several times on the podcast before, so I won't talk about it too much. It is a pattern by Aroha Knits, Frenchie. It's a sweater pattern, and I'm doing it in pieces. There is a seamless version of it, but I kind of went a little bit nuts when I tried to do the seamless version. So here is the back panel. The last time I showed it to you, it was here at this stitch marker. So I have put a considerable amount of work on it these past 2 weeks. I'm still really loving this lace section here. Let me stretch it out a little bit so you can really see it. There we go. I'm really loving this lace section right here. It is really fun, and it's also super simple to memorize, even though it is like, basically having done the front and back, like the two front sections, the back lace section is very similar to those, so it's really easy. I picked it up in no time. And I am almost done with the body decreases for the back, and then I'm about to start the sleeve holes for the back as well. Right now I'm about 20 rows out from starting those decreases. So, which means I'm over halfway done with the back already, which is really awesome. I'm hoping to be able to finish knitting this sweater by the time I'm going to a wedding in July, and I'm really hoping to finish this before I go, because in California where I live, or where I used to live, it doesn't, it's not humid, so when the sun goes down it is still cold, and it's cold enough to wear sweaters. So hopefully it'll be chilly enough that I'll need to bring a sweater with me, and I can bring the perfect sweater that I knit myself. Anyway, yes, so I'm knitting that. Bad podcaster. Okay. I'm trying to get better about putting stitch markers in so I can tell you definitively where I was last time and what I'm doing. So this is also on a US 5, 3.75 millimeter needle, and I'm using the Knit Picks. I have I think it's like the Sunstruck interchangeable set. I don't particularly like the Knit Picks cord. So now that I've worked with it a while and it's more straight, I like it a lot better. I just love the ChowGoo cord so much that I just don't like any other cord at all. I'm holding this and all of the yarn for the project in this owl bag by 3 Bags Full Studio. It's 3bagsfullstudio.etsy.com. My grandmother got me this for Christmas from her local yarn store in Belfast, Maine, which is right on the coast. My grandmother lives really close to the coast. If you didn't catch it, I posted a video of my Memorial Day travels. It starts out at my grandmother's house, like I'm standing on my grandmother's balcony and showing you like this is her view every day. And I meant to record a voice over that, but I forgot completely. By the time I was ready to post it, I was just like, no, just post the video. Anyway, my next work in progress is one of my own designs. It is the Amatendlik shawl, which I have just released on Ravelry. My test knitter finished knitting it a little bit early, and I decided, or she was making really good progress, so I decided that I was gonna release it early. And she gave me her feedback, and I've updated the PDF and all of that. But yeah, so it is available now on Ravelry. It is a very simple triangle-shaped shawl that is thick and quick and cozy. So it's designed so that all of the different sections of the shawl will work at any point. You don't really have to follow exact row counts or stitch counts. It is designed so that you can mix and match the different sections of the shawl. So I'm knitting a second version, and once I'm done with the second version, I am going to do another photo shoot with it and add these pictures, because it is going to be a bigger shawl than the first version. So it'll be a little hard to show you because it is on the needle still, but I'm gonna fold it in half and see if that makes it a little easier. So it is a triangle shaped shawl. So that is the just sort of stockinette section, and then there's a slip stitch section here, which is a little textured stitch. Textured stitch. There's going to be there is an eyelet section on it. But yeah, so that's that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm about to add a gray to it. So I'm going to do another slip stitch section. I can't say that 5 times fast. So I'm about to add this in, and I think I'm going to do a second slip stitch section. Yeah. And then I'm gonna work the eyelets in this yarn. I don't know if I'm gonna finish all of the eyelets in this yarn, just because of how many rows are in between each eyelet and all of that. But I do have a second ball of the green, or blue, I guess it's blue. Teal, ooh. It is teal. Anyway, so I do have 2 more balls of the yarn, so it'll be a pretty sizable shawl by the time I'm done. I only have a 60-inch wingspan, so from middle finger to middle finger is only 60 inches. So the first shawl was perfect for me, but my test knitter said that she was really glad that she added sections to finish out all of the yarn that she had for the shawl. So yeah, hopefully, this will be bigger and like more of a schlanket kind of thing, I guess. That's what the cool kids are calling it. So what I did was I just went to AC Moore and I found something that would work. They don't actually sell a whole lot of Aran weight yarn in stores here that are not like indie dyed or like from local yarn stores. So I just went to AC Moore and I picked up some Patton's Shetland Chunky. And this is the soft teal colorway, and then the gray is Oxford gray. They do have color numbers associated with them, but the names are just as good. So, yeah, I think this is about the same. I'm getting the same sort of gauge that I was on with the other yarn. The only difference is that this is 75% acrylic and 25% wool. So I'm not really that excited about it because I don't personally like acrylic yarn very much. I do like the Knit Picks acrylic. I think that is really good, but I'm not a huge fan of most acrylic yarns. I hate Red Heart. I don't like using like the Caron Soft Lion brand. I'm just not a huge fan of the like commercial acrylic yarns. I think they're just, they wick all of the moisture out of my hands, and they're just, it's awful. I don't like them. I don't like working with them. I don't like wearing them. I don't use them. If I'm gonna use acrylic, it is either gonna be an acrylic wool blend, or it's going to be Knit Picks acrylic. So yeah, anyway, that was a tangent. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to be able to block this one since it is mostly acrylic. It does have some wool in it, so I mean maybe it'll work. I may just steam block it if that works, which usually does. Maybe, I don't know. I don't really block acrylic yarns very often, but luckily like this shawl, it does have a garter stitch border, so hopefully with the garter stitch border, it probably won't need to be blocked as much just because it will lay flat by itself. But yeah, so there is that. So that's what I'm working on now. I wanted to do a second version of it because I only got one test knitter interested in test knitting it for me. So I wanted to have two sort of test knits at the same time. I'm holding this one until it gets too big in my knit picks bag. It says, "She taught me to knit, which has been a great amusement." It's a Jane Austen quote. I can't remember which book it's from, but I thought it was cool. I love Jane Austen. So other than that, I'm working on two other projects that are not knitting. So this one is crochet. So this crochet project you have seen before, and I just sort of started it, and I guess I didn't ever feel like showing it again. But so it's this sort of shawl pattern. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, but I cannot remember the name of it. I think it's D-U-I-N-E-N, Duinen. I'm not sure. It is a free pattern on Ravelry, but I'm gonna show you a little bit about like what I'm doing instead of, I'm not actually following the pattern. So I followed the pattern as written up until this little stitch marker here, this little unicorn stitch marker, which is the last time I showed it on the podcast. So this all took me from here to here, took me probably like an hour's worth of work. And then the rest of it I've sort of made up by myself. So it will be a shawl that'll have some random points and is going to be kind of random. I'm not sure how big it's gonna be because I do have, I'm working from the middle of the skein, so it's really hard to tell how much I actually have left. But, I mean, it's several color changes, I think. I see, yeah, it's definitely at least 2 more color repeats. At least 2 more. But yeah, it's about half the skein, I'd say. So here, I'll show you a little bit about, since it is a free pattern, I will just go over like the different rows, because there are like 4 different, rows here. So where is it? There we go. So I'll show you starting here. So it is a row of single crochet, and I'm using the US terms because I don't actually know the UK terms and what they are. Yeah, anyway, so so this row is a row of single crochets, and then there's an eyelet sort of row where it's a double crochet, a chain 1, and then you skip 1 space and do another double crochet. And then you double crochet again on the next row into each chain space and into each double crochet from the row before. And then the next row is you do front post double crochets, and it creates this really cool like ridge, like almost looks like a slip stitch ridge or like a knit ridge on it. And then after that you do another round of single crochet and then it starts over again. I followed the pattern up until here, and then I decided that I wanted to add a corner turn right here in the middle of the thing. So now it's a little bit wavy, so it's hard to sort of see, but I'm hoping that when I block it I can stretch it out and you'll be able to see it a little better. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I really like this yarn. It is the Knit Picks Chroma. I cannot tell you what colorway it is. I don't have the ball band anymore. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and it's sort of relaxing. Crochet actually hurts my hands a lot more than knitting does, so I don't do it very often, but I am better at it because I have been doing it a lot longer. I have been crocheting for about 7 or 8 years, and I've probably only been knitting seriously for about 5 years, maybe 4 years. But yeah, so I'm really enjoying that, and I'm thinking about maybe trying to design a crochet shawl pattern, but I haven't really gotten that far yet. I know how to follow charts and patterns and all of that in crochet, and like I know how to design shawls and stuff, but I just never have. I get really tired of crochet patterns before I'm done with them most of the time, so it's really hard for me to want to design anything. Whereas with knitting, for some reason, I don't get bored at all. Yeah, there's that. There's the last yarn thing I have, but I do have some thread stuff to show you. I cross stitch occasionally. I haven't made very many projects. I've probably made up like a handful. But I decided that I wanted to make a cross stitch pattern. So I had some cross stitch graph paper and I drew it out, and yeah. So as all of you know already, I'm a huge nerd. I love all the sci-fi and I love all of the video games, and I absolutely love Pokemon. So, so here is my cross-stitch Gengar. So I've done all of this medium purple color. I'm finished with some medium purple color. I think I've done all of the pieces of that. I just need, I have a light purple and a dark purple to add in. So the light purple is gonna go right here, and then this little thing, and then the dark purple goes around the arm. But then I'll be done with the top right corner of Gengar's body. And there are gonna be words on it, but I'm not gonna spoil what the words are. It is a very nice pun and it makes me really happy. But yeah, I think I'm gonna put this on the front of a project bag or something. I'm not sure exactly what yet, but I'm going to use it for something at least, because I really enjoy looking at it and it makes me really happy. So there's my Gengar. He's great. Oh, my battery is blinking at me. Hold on one moment. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so I will be putting that on a project bag or something when it's finished, which it'll probably take a really long time, but it's a really fun project if I want to be staring at something. Knitting I don't really have to look at, but unless I'm doing something specific. Like if it's just stockinette, I don't have to look at it at all. But cross stitch, you really have to look at it. So I can't really be watching Netflix or anything while I'm doing it. But anyway, I think that is all of my crafty content for the day. So if you are only here for that, I will see you again in 2 weeks when I post another video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you are sticking around, I am gonna talk a little bit about what's been going on in my life and what may be coming up and all of that. So other than designing patterns, I haven't really been looking at other patterns to start knitting. Everything I've cast on, other than the Stephen West shawl, has been something of my own design, which I think is really, really fun. I'm really enjoying designing patterns and all of that. I haven't written down the pattern for the cabled hat yet. I think I want to knit a second version of it before I do. Only because the version that I have, I really like it because I love loose hats. Excuse me, but I'm not sure other people would like it if it's that loose. So I'm gonna try, I'm gonna find a different yarn, a special sort of Aran weight yarn to do the shawl, the hat in again before I write down the pattern and release it. The other thing is that I started a new shawl design last night, and I wanted an I-cord cast on, like, cause I want the top edge to be an I-cord, and it took me forever to find a tutorial for it, and I finally did, thank God. But yeah, so I'm gonna try and cast that on today and finish, and like I get at least a significant portion of it finished, because I want that shawl done and out of my brain space. But yeah, I'm not sure. I have a lot of ideas and not a lot of yarn, or not a lot of focus in order to sit down and actually do it. I am transitioning to being full-time at my job for the summer, which is good because I was starting to look for a second job because I'm broke and need money, but because I spent all of my money on yarns. So so I was going to start looking for a second job, but one of the summer staffers decided not to come back this summer, so they needed someone to switch over to being full-time, so that was me, which makes me really happy because I need the money. So yeah, that basically is what I'm gonna be knitting and working most of the summer. And that's kind of what I've been doing for these last 2 weeks. I've been knitting, I've been playing video games, and I've been, yeah. I just uploaded my Memorial Day video, which did take forever, because I kept forgetting about it. And then, yeah, that's pretty much everything I've been doing. In the next couple of weeks, I've got a lot coming up. Like I've got, next Wednesday is my birthday. So on Tuesday, my grandmother and I will be going to dinner and a movie, and then, or lunch and a movie. And then Wednesday, my actual birthday, there's a garden party downtown, which is gonna be really fun. It's gonna be like a traditional garden party. And then after that, we're gonna go to a showing of the Full Monty at the Penobscot Theater, which is like an acting like theater, not like movie theater. And yeah, so we're going to the Full Monty, which is the show that they're doing right now, which is actually one of my very favorite movies. And I have seen the play version, or I've seen the musical version. I don't know if this is the musical or the play version, but after they made the movie, they made a bunch of other versions of it. So yeah. Anyway, so that's what's on the agenda for next week. And then I have to prepare for going away to California for a weekend. I'll be gone for about 5 days. And like I've been trying to figure out where my dog's gonna go and all of that. So there is a kennel that I've talked to that are good with anxiety driven dogs, which mine is. So they're good, and they're able to, and they were recommended by my vet, so I know that that they've had experience with them in the past, and they know that they're good with dogs. And so I have to get Kelsier into the vet at the end of the month in order to get vaccinated for kennel cough, because he's never been vaccinated for kennel cough because he's never really been around other dogs in that sort of setting before. Yeah, so he's getting a kennel cough vaccine, and then I've got to get a rental car and get my bus tickets down to Boston and do all of that. So hopefully that'll all get sorted out before I have to drop Kelsier off at the kennel, because that's the day before I leave. And I mean, obviously it's gonna get sorted out, but it's like I have so many things and I have to write them all down or else I'm gonna forget them. So and pick days to actually do these things. Yeah, but my trip to California is gonna be fun. I'm going to a wedding for one of my really good friends who I've known since like 7th grade. He's getting married and asked me to be in his wedding, so I'm gonna go there and do that. And then I'm spending the next couple of days there just sort of hanging out. So I'll see my mom and all of that. But yeah, so I'm trying to be excited about the trip. I am excited about the trip. It's just, it is kind of difficult to get away. I'm gonna be worried about my dog probably the whole time, but yeah. Anyway, I think that's all that's happening right now. I can't think of anything else. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming to join me and listening to my knitting nonsense. I really do appreciate your time. And yeah, I will catch you again next week, or not next week, in 2 weeks. I will see you again with my knitting progress. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye. My hair is always a mess.